Good morning, MacLaren. Today is Monday, April 13th. If today is your birthday, then happy birthday. Today I want to talk to you about my favorite tree. A lot of times when we think about trees in superlatives, we think about the tallest or maybe the prettiest. My favorite tree is neither one of those. What makes it stick out the most to me is that it is the most patient. It finds a way to live where other trees or other plants can't live. It's so good at living, or rather, it's just good at escaping death. These trees were alive and thriving during Socrates' life. They even outdate Stonehenge. They're older than Sargon or Gilgamesh. Even the Great Pyramid of Giza is younger than this tree. If we want to look at when this tree originated, when it started growing, we would need to go back sometime between the building of this pyramid and the development of the cuneiform alphabet. This is Methuselah. This tree is currently living in the White Mountains of California. This tree is said to be about 4,850 years old, which means that it has an estimated germination date of 2833 BCE. There's another tree found very near to this tree that in 2012 was confirmed to be 5,066 years old. I don't have a picture to show you of this tree because its location is kept secret so that nobody will find it and try to harm it. This is another picture of Methuselah, the same tree, just from a different angle. Bristlecone pine trees grow to be about 15 to 50 feet tall. They have these short needles that grow in groups of 5. Their cones, the female cones, start out as this purple color, and then they mature into a pale brown. And then they have a bristle on each scale, which is why these are called bristlecone pine trees. They're frequently found stripped of their bark, sandblasted by the high winds and the altitudes in which they live. And oftentimes they have these twisted, gnarled trunks. The higher in the altitude that these trees grow and the harsher the climate, the more impressive the tree. I am most fascinated by how these trees escape death in this drought-prone land with such high winds and poor soil. Well, first, they grow very slowly. They increase in their diameter about 1/100th of an inch per year, which would mean it would take an entire century for these trees to get just 1 inch wider. A 40-year-old tree may not yet be 6 inches tall. These trees also have very dense bark due to this very slow growth. This dense bark creates a barrier to insects and fungus and erosion. Most pine trees drop their needles and replace them every couple of years. But this takes a lot of energy to create new needles every couple of years. Bristlecone pine trees keep their needles for 30, sometimes even 40 years without replacing them. This saves a lot of energy for the bristlecone pine. Bristlecone pines don't necessarily prefer the soil that they grow in, this dry, alkaline, rocky soil, but it's just that so few things can live here that there aren't a lot of other plants that need the scarce nutrients in the soil. These trees are amazing at surviving trauma. If a really big part of a tree is damaged, most of the time that would kill an entire tree, but with the bristlecone pines, all that really needs to remain is one branch with needles and then a small strip of bark. The bristlecone pines are also known for their twisted, gnarled trunks. While this is aesthetically very intriguing and beautiful, this also provides a lot of structural integrity for the tree. It's less likely to be blown over or broken by strong winds. Well, the bristlecone pines that I've been showing you pictures of are found in the White Mountains of California. They're also found in Nevada and Utah, This particular type of bristlecone pine is called the Great Basin bristlecone pine. There's a cousin that is very similar to these trees. They aren't quite as old, but they're called the Rocky Mountain bristlecone pine, which is found in Colorado. So this picture is taken near Mount Evans. This picture, it was taken in Rocky Mountain National Park. Here's one from Windy Ridge. Windy Ridge is near in the central part of the state, kind of. Here's another one from that same grove of pine trees. They can even be found on top of Black Mountain in the Pike National Forest, about 70 miles from Colorado Springs. And you might recognize this picture. These are some of the rock fins in Garden of the Gods here in Colorado Springs. In the background and in the foreground is a bristlecone pine. This one has a lot more greenery on it. The bark isn't quite as dead. The environment in Colorado Springs is not quite as harsh as up on top of the ridges. But the whole reason that I wanted to talk to you about bristlecone pines, not only are they beautiful trees, but I have learned so much from them and their patience and their stamina. These don't seem like trees that panic or that get bent out of shape by a drought or a bad storm. When I look at these trees, they tend to say, this isn't the first fire I've seen or the first drought. This drought will end. It will rain again. Winter will always be followed by spring. Nature has cycles, and the bristlecones have patiently ridden these cycles for thousands of years, learning some lessons from the bristlecone pines: to slow down, don't panic, stay in my place, and enjoy the view.